growing up in Morgantown to traveling all the way across the country to South Africa, he has built his own weather empire. And today we get to have lunch with one of my favorite people in Bowling Green from weatherornotbg.com. We're having lunch with Landon Hampton. Get into doing what you do, man?
You know, Tony, it's kind of a long story, but to kind of give you I guess an abbreviated version of it,
Yeah.
I was scared to death of storms growing up.
Did you have like a bad experience or something?
Scared to death? No, I didn't. You know, and it was kind of funny because, you know, Twisters, of course, it draws the interest in,
Yeah.
but the flip side of that is after I watched Twister, anytime a sprinkle ball would come through, Landon needed to be in the basement. You know, it just kind of really... I don't know.
You didn't
I don't
have
know
like
what
a
the
thunder
word
buddy
is.
or anything, right?
yeah, exactly. You know, but it just kind of like enhanced the experience to where, you know, every time a rain shower or storm was coming through, it was going to be the end of the world.
Right.
I recall a time whenever it was storming very, very bad at our house, and my dad had came in from work, and he walked in, and he looked at my mom, and he said, "You don't have him in the basement right now."
Right.
And it was pretty rough. So we got down there, man, and then we come out right outside of our basement, and my dad's like, "You have to come look at this." And I'm like, No.
Right.
He's like, "You're never going to see this
So
again."
have you ever been in like a tornado?
Myself, been in one, no.
Yeah.
Now, over the course of the years since I've really been drawn into it, and especially since with the education and experiences provided by Western, I've been able to see roughly 25 to 30 tornadoes.
I've never been in a tornado. One time I saw lightning strike something like right in front of me, and it scared me to death. Like I saw like the lightning like walk, like it felt like it like walked up to it and struck a tree. Terrifying stuff. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it.
I've had a close encounter with lightning as well.
I had a close encounter with an alien, I think, one time.
Yeah.
Would you alien or lightning? Which one would you rather do?
Probably an alien. just because I could say then that I could have an experience that not everyone has. You know, except for those folks down in New Mexico, of course.
You're a young guy, right? How old are you?
30 years old.
30.
The big 30.
You're prime, man.
Yeah.
You're prime. What like where do you like who are like your like weather role models? Like, you know, I mean, is it Al Roker, or is it like Jim Cantori, or is it somebody like who do you look like? Who are the people that you emulate your weather style after?
Well, you know, I didn't necessarily ever want to be a broadcaster per se. I knew that I always wanted to pursue weather.
But you did broadcasting for a while.
I did. But I'd always made it a point in my career that I wanted that experience, but I didn't want it to be an end-all be-all career. I wanted that experience more importantly, and I don't mean to try and sound selfless or anything, but with the contributors at Whether or Not, we want to build them up to provide them a platform to do what they want to do. And if I've had that experience, then those folks who are coming up in broadcasting, I can relate to a whole lot easier.
I'm hungry. I want to eat. What do we got here? What do we got? We're Wild Eggs. You had this before, right?
Yes.
Good morning, guys.
Hey.
How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. Can I grab you guys anything other than water for right now? We have some crazy, delicious
coffee for sure.
Coffee.
Got to get caffeinated.
course.
Black as the night. Black as his soul.
Black is his soul.
Black as his soul.
I'll have cream on the side though, please.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
See, he doesn't want it black as his soul. There you go.
His soul is. Anyway, what's good? What's good?
Oh man, well, right now we have a couple of different good options. My favorite on this entire menu, I'm not gonna lie, is our Kelsey KY Brown. It's on a sourdough toast. You have some turkey, some bacon, an egg on top, and some queso on top of that. It is phenomenal.
Right.
Really, really good. And we also have a couple of our lunch menu options are really good too. We have our Batman and Reuben, comes with our corned beef.
All right.
Big stack of it and all that.
All right. All right.
You guys want to look over that?
By the time you get back with that coffee, we will be ready to
we'll
get this
Sounds
thing
great.
going.
I'll be right back.
Thanks.
There's no wrong answer at Wild Eggs. No wrong answer.
There's not. There's 4 or 5 always some go-tos, but you know, you can never go wrong.
What your technique, your style is different in the world of weather than you see on TV or on news platforms, anywhere out there, not just local. you're attacking it in a whole nother way. You're building a weather empire in a way through the power of social media, through Facebook, through Twitter, and you're doing it in a non-traditional way, a different style. What's the inspiration and what's the motivation behind whether or not BG.com?
We really apply adding value to the people that we serve. Now, a little bit of a different approach. Simon Sinek is an author and a speaker and someone who I really follow, and he has this concept about driving people's behavior.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, what's been done for years and years and years? Well, let's talk amounts. Let's talk percentages.
Right.
You know, let's do all this stuff. We don't do that. We don't talk about necessarily snow amounts. We don't harp on rain amounts. We talk about impact base, how it's going to impact you. You know, whenever, it sounds kind of funny, but whenever I'm putting together a forecast in the morning, how is this going to impact Tony Rose on his drive in or his drive from home from work?
I like it.
You know, what about the single mom who's dropping off her kids? What does she need to know? She needs to know if they need a rain jacket. You know, she doesn't need to know all the mumbo jumbo that isn't going to make any sense to anyone.
He's actually said he's going to actually take a shot of the cream. It's not actually going in the coffee.
Right, gotcha. So it's cold and it's hot.
It's aggressive. So
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea.
what are you feeling today, man? What do you got? My treat. What do you want?
I'm going to go with the Calamity Katie's Border Benedict.
You took my answer.
That is,
that's bum.
It's, you know as well as I do, Tony. That's Old Faithful.
That is.
Oh man,
I
the
said-
chorizo on there with the corn cake, you can't.
Absolutely.
You really can't.
You know what? I shall do the same.
Same thing.
The same thing. I do want the grits of the day,
Okay.
and I gotta have an everything muffin
Perfect. Yep.
because the everything muffin is a little slice of heaven. Everybody knows that.
You've got that right.
Alrighty, and we usually do that about a poached medium. Is that okay, guys?
That's good.
I will scramble mine.
Scramble yours.
Beat mine senseless.
Got it. Alright.
Awesome.
And
good
for you,
coffee.
is it the grits of the day and the everything muffin okay as well? Or
I'll
would you
have
like
a-
skilled potatoes?
I'll have skillet potatoes, please, and the everything muffin.
And the everything muffin, and you said poached medium was okay for you.
Yeah, that's
Alright,
perfect.
guys, I can take these menus out of them.
Awesome. There you go.
Thank you.
No
All right,
problem,
buddy.
It'll be right out. Okay, guys.
While we wait, random 3 questions for Landon Hampton, totally unweather related. Favorite band that you ever have seen live in concert?
My favorite band that I've ever seen live in concert would probably be the 1 a.m. show at my first ever Bonnaroo, My Morning Jacket.
Okay.
They were
all
not
right.
that well known. I
Right.
believe the year was 2005.
Right.
I was roughly, oh goodness, how old was I then?
Right.
Around 16, I think, or 17 years old.
Yeah.
And there was no other shows. And you know,
Okay.
here's this band, My Morning Jacket, that hadn't quote unquote hit the mainstream yet. They're the only band playing at 1 a.m. And they're
you
playing
go.
at one of the smaller tents. Ended up having 15,000 people there. It was phenomenal.
You got to pick one: skydiving, hot air balloon ride. Which one do you go with?
Skydiving, the adrenaline rush.
All right, fair enough. And one thing, one bucket list item that you still have not done in your life, because I want to talk more about that in a minute, about some of the cool things you've done. One thing that you've never done that you want to do.
Attend a World Cup outside of the country.
He does have an infatuation with soccer. We'll ask about that. We'll talk about that on the way. Also, a very special trip that you got to take that you said changed your life, and more while we eat here in just a minute. It's Lunch with Tony Rose and Landon Hampton from whetherornotbg.com. More after this.
Hi, Jenny here from your local Big Deal store. Have you checked this place out yet? We've got gift certificates from dozens of local businesses, all sale priced. I'm talking restaurants, entertainment, car care, and items for your home. And you can shop 24 hours a day from the convenience of your home or from your smartphone. Big Deals. We're kind of a big deal.
We were talking, while they were bringing the food out, while we started eating, man, during the break, that you have been all over the world, but you're born and raised in Morgantown, right? Morgantown, Kentucky.
Yeah, it's right up the road.
How in the world did you get into traveling the world? You've been to the Middle East, you've been to South Africa, and that's just like in the last couple of years. How did that passion for traveling come to you?
It's very important to me, Tony, along this journey that I like to refer to as personal growth and development, is to continually surround yourselves that don't necessarily think like you do or might see things from a different perspective. And whenever you're able to travel the world and see those things, it puts you in an uncomfortable spot, and it really stretches your mindset of being able to grasp the concepts and the mindsets of these individuals. And it comes as to no surprise that I'm comfortable saying I've changed my opinion on many things since I've started traveling, and being able to take in and embrace those experiences is a very important part on continuing to grow as a personally.
You go to South Africa. That is a historic place. Of course, Nelson Mandela and so much more. What did you take away from there? That seems like one of the trips that you take, that you go down there for the tourist side of it, but you leave with a different attitude, a different perspective. What were some of the South African places that you saw that changed your life?
First and foremost, Tony, probably the townships. I thought that I had witnessed poverty here, even in South Central Kentucky in some locations. But whenever you get down to these townships and they are literally mud huts with some sheet metal that they found on the side of the road as their roof, struggling to keep a fire going inside, that really tugs at your heartstrings, Not only that, getting to tour Robben Island, which is very similar to like an Alcatraz here in the U.S., where Nelson Mandela and so many of these political reformists were trying to push for freedom for their people. Me and my wife, we were fortunate enough that my mom and dad got to go with us. But being able to bring that back, and witness those things, I can't ever have an excuse or complain about anything. Watching someone going through the torture and being demented and spit on, literally, urinated on, and then to become president of a country and a leader of peace, prosperity, and philanthropy. I think that that's a drive for all of us, not just me, that we can always strive to do better.
You're a big soccer guy too. Switching gears. You got all serious on me. I got to switch it up, man.
Number one sport, my friend.
Again, Morgantown, Big Blue Nation. A lot of round ball, a lot of football, but the football. How did you become such a soccer aficionado? Because I'll see you tweeting at 2 in the morning watching like a Manchester United game or something.
No, not Manchester.
Who's your team? What's your
Arsenal.
Arsenal. I'm
the
sorry.
Arsenal Gunners.
The Arsenal Gunners. That's what I know about soccer. How did you become such a soccer aficionado? Because people play soccer, but it takes somebody to know soccer. You know soccer. How did you become such a soccer guy?
I started playing soccer, Tony. Like the first time I started kicking a soccer ball around, I was around 3 or 4 years old. Got really into the organized aspect of the game around the age of 5. And it's just been a driving force, and it truly is a passion of mine. I tell everyone I have 3 passions: weather, obviously, personal growth and development, and adding value to people, and number 3 would definitely have to be soccer.
All right. You're a recognized personality now. We were just sitting here eating the wild eggs, and people come up and talk to you. You have a look that is very recognizable as well.
It's all about the branding.
You're somehow more
it's
like you're a more bald me, and I'm bald. Do you have like weather groupies, like like the people who can't get enough of weatherornotbg.com? Do you have that a lot?
Yeah. I love to refer to them as the weather weenies, and that is nothing.
The what?
The weather weenies. Nothing derogatory whatsoever.
The weather weenies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I'm a self-proclaimed weather weenie. I'm just infatuated with it, and I try to immerse myself in it as much as possible.
Right. Okay. So there is a Mrs. Hampton, though, right?
Yes, sir. Very, very, very dear to my heart. That's for sure.
How long you guys been married? How long have you guys been together?
We've been married for 3 years. We rolled over 3 years this past September, so we'll be rolling up on 4 years come early September of 2018 too.
How does she handle the Landon Hampton whether or not BG personality? How does she handle that?
She's really good about it. She's been a supporter of mine, since the very start. She moved from Louisville. She was, had a job working as a floor nurse in the ER up in Louisville. And, she came here in a sense because of me. And, not a whole lot of people could see the vision that I saw with it, but she always put her trust in me. And, You know, it's very important though, Tony, I'm sure you know this too.
Yeah.
There comes a time where you have to put the phone down, you have to put the technology away, and we try to dedicate a couple hours of that to every day of getting away from the technology in order, you know, to work on us, talk about our goals, dreams, and aspirations.
Let me tell you, you know this, saying no is the hardest thing we do in what we do, because, you know, we have a brand, and it's radio, it's the Tony Rose stuff, it's, you know, whether or not BG.com, and it's hard to say no. But I found that, like, once you say no a few times, it makes the times you say yes worth so much more. And I know you probably feel the same way. It's just picking and choosing your battles and what you can do.
I'm a huge fan of Steve Jobs. He's someone that I really look up to, and I try to model a lot of my behavior after Elon Musk, Peter Diamandis,
Right.
you know, Amy Blankson, these great leaders that I follow. And I saw a video of Steve Jobs one time at an Apple Summit. And he says, everyone mistakes focus for saying yes. Focus is saying no and focusing on what's important. And since I watched that 4 to 5 years ago, I really made that an important part of my life. I agree with you 110%.
That's what I'm doing wrong, because I follow great leaders like Justin Timberlake, and all I know is he's bringing sexy back. You're dropping life-changing quotes. I'm over here rocking your body. Cry me a river, you know. So anyway, Landon Hampton. How's the Calamity Katie treating you over there, man?
It's great, man.
I've already pounded mine.
It's the best
Mine's
this year,
gone.
there's no question.
Mine is gone. I'm working on the grits now, you know. I never had grits until I went to Wild Eggs. My whole life. I grew up in Logan County, grew up in Auburn, and never had a grit until I handled Wild Eggs.
That is difficult to believe.
I love them now. I'm crazy. Talk with my mouth full. Any little Hamptons on the way?
Well, you know, man, we just talked about the travel thing.
Yeah.
You know, me and my wife are on the same page in that regard. We want to get some of the bucket list items off there, and then you know, start planning for the little Hamptons. I'll just say sooner rather than later. So we'll see how soon sooner is.
Cheers for that, my friend. Once you go, I got a 4-year-old. It's the greatest thing ever. But, you know, there's never a good time. There's never a good time not. They're like, oh, yeah, we're having it. Just go. Just do it. Seriously, though, before we get out of here, I know you got food to finish. I got food to finish. They got people waiting to come in here at Wild Eggs, so we got to get the rest of them. About 4 years ago, we had a sit-down conversation when I made the move downtown, and you were just starting to really start the traction of whether or not BG.com, branching it out there, you know, breaking away from the projects you were working on at the time with Yellow Berry and your brother and everything like that, which I've known your brother longer than you, and he's good people. And to see where you're going with whether or not BG.com, you talked about how you wanted to reinvent that experience, you know, rebuild that brand of how we get our information, how we get our weather coverage, how we have weather situations reported to us. Dude, you are well on your way to building your own empire, man. And for you to, you know, there's going to be a conversation like this where people are quoting Landon Hampton quotes someday, man. So proud to call you a friend, brother.
Well, thanks, man.
Thanks
I
for everything,
appreciate
man. You know, we've been up down the road together.
That's right.
We're going to keep doing it. So I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy set schedule to come have lunch with me at Wild Eggs and talk about life and stuff, man. Thank you, buddy.
Well, thanks for having me.
Cheers to you. There you go. Lunch, Landon Hampton. Find out more, whether or not, WX or not, BG.com. That's him. I'm sure he's got a tornado to go chase here in a minute. We're going to get back to lunch right now.